Questions for reflection. We continue in our first reading with Paul's instruction to the Christians in Rome and to all of us concerning the universality of God's loving plan of redemption. In that loving plan, even the rejection by some of the Jewish people of the messianic claims of Jesus Christ is used to open the door to the Gentiles for their salvation. God has not rejected Israel. To the contrary, He continues to use Israel for His purpose. The loving plan of God is meant for all. Jews and Gentiles are to be saved, set free from the law of sin and death, and incorporated through baptism into the new Israel, the church. The responsorial psalm underscores this very plan, and I quote, "Yahweh will not abandon His people. He will not desert His heritage." Christians, both of Jewish and Gentile heritage, are called to have a special love for the Jewish people. The Catholic Catechism tells us, and I quote, "The Jewish faith, unlike other non-Christian religions, is already a response to God's revelation in the Old Covenant. To the Jews belong the sonship, the glory, the covenants, the giving of the law, the worship, and the promises. To them belong the patriarchs, and of their race, according to the flesh, is the Christ. For the gifts and the call of God are irrevocable." And that's paragraph 839 of the Catechism. In the Gospel for today's Holy Mass, Jesus teaches His disciples, which includes you and me, about humility, taking the lowest place. The English word humility is derived from a Latin root, which means close to the earth. It's a relational word and calls for action. It means willingly giving up your place, emptying yourself for another. In the Gospel, Jesus offers a parable to demonstrate what humility acts like, and that's Luke chapter 14. True humility is rare in this age of narcissism and self-idolatry. When we encounter it in a leader, it moves us deeply. That's partly because we're used to experiencing its opposite in some who hold worldly power. But it's also because authentic humility reveals the God who emptied Himself for you and me. Jesus freely took the lowest place. St. Paul writes concerning Jesus, and I quote, "Though He was in the form of God, He did not count equality with God something to be grasped. Rather, He emptied Himself." And that's Philippians 2. He also reminded the Christians in Corinth, and I quote, "You know the grace of our Lord Jesus Christ, that though He was rich, yet for your sake He became poor, so that by His poverty you might become rich." And that's 2 Corinthians chapter 8 and verse 9.